How do you know if you are a professional musician versus an amateur musician? And here's a hint, it's not money, at least not in my opinion. And I literally just had this realization after a pretty rough gig. I was doing my regular Friday gig with Aaron Nichols at the Valentine. And this week was a little bit different because it's CMA Fest week here in Nashville, which means we have a massive influx of people. And it feels like the stakes are a little bit higher since the crowds are so much bigger. And things were chaotic today. I typically go first thing in the morning and set up my gear at the Valentine so that by the time our set time rolls around, I already have my stuff set up and I have more time to just chill and be relaxed and not do a fire drill before we play. I also like to set up some cameras so I can broadcast our shows to people out there on the internet. And today when I got to the venue before it opened, I went and looked at the kick drum and noticed that the head had a massive hole in it. And I was asking the engineers there, do you guys have another kick head lying around? And they were like, ooh, I don't know. And I said, will this be replaced before my gig starts at 2 p.m. today? And they said, I don't know. So I got the head engineer's phone number and I texted him. And I also messaged my friend John Roots, who's actually been on my YouTube channel talking about maintaining kits on Broadway because that's what he does. And I believe this is one of his kits that he maintains, but he's out on the road with Brooks and Dunn right now. So I made a bunch of calls and texts to the engineers at this venue, to John Roots. I posted on the Nashville Drummers Facebook page. I was even prepared to go by and head myself, but it got worked out that, oh, the head was gonna be taken care of. Cool. And so I got to the gig early to set up my camera so I could stream live. And I look, and then the bass drum head is not replaced yet. So I have about 15 minutes to replace a kick drum head on a full set that's already set up. And so I'm doing this the best I can. And there also happened to be a new sound engineer working today. And the sound engineer was having a pretty tough time getting just any sound going to our monitors. And I've been there before. Just you're kind of thrown into a situation and you have to do the best you can. But there was literally nothing going into my ears. And this venue actually has like a drum booth, like a quiet room, so you can't hear anything else out there. So I'm trying to get all these other things in line. There's no way I'm gonna be able to record anything. And it's about 15, 20 minutes past our start time. The engineer hasn't even gotten our monitor mixes up. And then this engineer, I'm guessing they were just frazzled. They're really starting to push us like, hey, we gotta go now, we gotta go now. And it's literally, you can't play if you don't hear anything in your ears. So for the first 4 to 5 songs, I had nothing in my ears except a fiddle. So I didn't hear any vocals, I didn't hear any guitar, didn't hear any bass.
So can I get, I need drums in my ears. I don't have any drums in my ears and less fiddle. This is in the drum, back by the drums.
Jeez, I'm telling you.
And I would say the first hour of that gig was just chaos. I couldn't hear anything. I was screaming into the talkback mic, hey, I cannot hear a thing. It's not an exaggeration. I can't hear anything else out there. And then there's people talking to me on the talkback mic. I can't hear what they're saying either. It was a mess. And for one song, the engineer took my in-ear monitor pack, so I mean, there was nothing. It was literally like trying to assemble a race car as you're driving around the track.
Could I get a little less bass and a little bit more drums in the ears, please? Thank you.
I was sitting on my couch gathering myself, and I just texted Aaron, and I said, hey man, yeah, today was rough, but we pulled it off. And then I started thinking, I don't think anybody else on Lower Broadway goes to the gigs early and sets up like I do. I don't think there's many other people that put as much into a shift as I do. I treat it literally like it's a concert, not like it's just some 4-hour gig. I don't think there's many people that are streaming from multiple angles on gigs because it's exhausting. And also people are usually playing multiple shifts a day, so they don't have time to go to a venue beforehand and set up. I treat these gigs a little bit differently. I don't book any gigs before or after, and I try to go the extra mile. If I wasn't there today early, I probably wouldn't have played today because with traffic and everything and closures, there was no way we would have been able to go across town, buy a kick drum head, drive back over, park, and put it on in such a small time frame. I think most drummers would have just showed up and been like, oh, well, I guess I can't play this shift, and they would have been bummed out. I think most musicians in a situation where everyone's in-ear mixes, they literally can't hear anything. They would fold or like try to stop the show, or probably not play that well. But the thing about Aaron, his voice, his playing, everything was just so great that people just come in and the place was packed. And we had the place packed throughout the whole time. Now, of course, I was stressed and frazzled, but that show's not for me, it's for people out there in the audience. And after thinking about this, I realized that, oh, we're going, I wouldn't say a little extra, I would say a lot extra. And most people would say it's unnecessary, and I would agree. But what I was thinking about was that this is kind of what sets professionals apart, or people who go on to different things. Because, oh, if I'm putting this extra work into something, and all this extra work today just got us to a place where, oh, okay, even on the worst day, the gig happens and it's still good. That's something, because when you're out there on the road, there's gonna be days like that. I find that if I'm going the extra mile, going there early to a gig to set up, to double check everything, going the extra mile for the work and the artists, that even on our worst day, things keep moving. Whereas if I was treating this just like a regular gig, it probably wouldn't have happened today. And I realize that I can't treat every gig this way on Nashville's Broadway, because it really is just a volume game. You have to play a lot of gigs down there. But what I'm thinking about doing is trying to use that as training ground to treat every gig like it's a Super Bowl, every show like it's an audition for like that next thing, and then hopefully parlay that into something else. And so I was messaging Aaron saying, today was rough, but I think it really shows that on the roughest day, we can still put on a great show. And I think this is what can set us apart from a lot of other people out there. Yeah, talent matters, but preparation goes pretty far too. Having that attitude where, okay, I'm going to leave no stone unturned. And I really think that is one thing that separates professionals from amateurs. Professionals, under the spotlight, under the stress, when the conditions aren't ideal, professionals perform where amateurs don't. Maybe they crumble under the pressure. Maybe they haven't gotten to the gig early to realize, oh, there's all this stuff that needs to happen before the gig. There's no time. I guess I can't do this gig. Yeah, that wasn't me today, and that used to be me. But, oh, today I was going that extra mile really paid off. Not so much in the sense that we got these extra things, but in a sea of chaos where everything's going wrong, we still pulled off a great gig. And that's probably a word salad. There's probably a lot of stuff in there that I gotta edit out, and I'm probably not gonna edit it very much because I just wanted to talk it out. Fast forward to 2 weeks later. I literally made that video after I walked in my door from that gig while everything was fresh in my mind. Well, later on that evening, John Root and I touched base, and I found out that he arranged to have that kick drum head at the Valentine waiting for me, and he would have even found a way to have that head put on if I really needed it and I made a big stink. But John Root went above and beyond, and he even compensated me for doing that, which he didn't have to do, and I truly appreciated it. And why I'm adding this part to the video 2 weeks later is for a couple reasons. One, I wanted to give everyone a complete picture of this story, let everyone know what happens. But two, also because professionals find a way to get things done and make it right. Like the way John Root did that day to find a way to get me that head. Because John was on the other side of the country drum teching for one of the biggest country artists of all time, Brooks and Dunn. I'm calling him at like what had to be 7 a.m. his time, and John found a way to get it done. Just like I'm finding a way to say, oh, I'm gonna go that extra mile to make sure to let people know that John went the extra mile. And I think true professionals really look after each other and take care of each other and take great care when talking about their experiences, not to put others unfairly in a bad light. And John is kind of like, I would say, the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the Nashville drumming scene. He's one of the moderators of the Facebook group. He hosts the monthly drummers lunch. He's usually the first drummer most people in town know, and he's just a really great, sweet dude. And I wanted to make sure to give him the props that he deserves. And I think it all actually fits in with the theme of what separates professionals from amateurs. A professional is going to do those extra things to make sure everything is taken care of. From the gig, to the music, to the equipment, to the people supporting the music. And John is an example of that. And hats off to you, John. And again, I encourage everyone to look at my previous interview with John. Check out his Get Rhythm drum services here in Nashville. John's the dude to know. So thank you so much, John, for helping make that stressful day a little bit less stressful. And sorry for giving you the stress of, I hope I didn't wake you up. And I also talk about a lot of other things about the unspoken parts of being a musician. The stuff outside of the practice room, the stuff outside of the marketing and promotion, but just like the mindset. So I have a whole list of navigating the music industry and the mental game of music. If you want to check it out, I'll put it on this video. Thanks for watching. Keep it together out there, folks.